Alrighty, time for part two. We're gonna get going on the front end. I've got it jacked up by the frame. That way the suspension's just dangling. This side of the shock tower and the shocks are already replaced, but I'm gonna take this all apart anyway because you need to replace that bushing, which is all messed up and it makes it handle really bad at high speeds and over bumps. And then I'll do the wire brush on the frame and paint the frame. This side, I'm gonna replace these shocks in the shock tower because it's very rusty, and also that bushing. Oh, and then one more thing is I'm gonna put a 2-inch leveling kit on. It's just a little spacer that goes in there where that bolt goes. And it just makes the whole truck sit 2 inches higher. And of course, painting the frame, and that's all for the front end. That's what part two here is going to be all about. So I'm starting to tear all this apart, and when I took this bolt out, the strut wouldn't come down low enough, even though I got jacked all the way up. So I thought these shocks were probably holding it, and they were, but I didn't realize how far it would come down. And I didn't put a jack under there. So the second I got this last bolt off here, this all just fell down. And luckily I was out of the way. But some of you guys probably already knew that that would happen, but I didn't, because I'm new to this kind of suspension. So gotta be more careful. So I've hit the brakes on this side for a minute because there you can see that the bolt on the end of this radius arm broke, and it's attached to the whole thing, so you can't just put a new bolt in. You have to replace the whole arm. So I got this whole new arm, so I need to put that whole arm on. But I've come over and just went ahead and started working on this side. So far I've got the shock tower off. Unfortunately, this brake line that goes from here down in there broke when I took the shock tower off because it goes through the shock tower. So I'll have to replace that. And then I need to put the new shock tower on. The leveling kit with the new, well, not the new, it's the same old strut, but then there will be new shocks. And then I've got these in. I still need to tighten that bolt more. But that's the new radius arm bushings, and they're a real pain in the butt to do. I wouldn't recommend trying to do them unless you really have to, because right in there, there's a bolt, that the swivel bolt. You have to take that out, take this big bolt out, and drop this whole thing down and pull it out. And it's a lot harder than it sounds. And then to get it back up in there is also hard, but I finally did it. All right, aside from the brake line that broke, this side's done. Well, I'm painting the frame. I gotta remove the rust on the frame, paint the frame, and replace the brake line that broke. But all the main stuff is done. New shock tower's in, struts in, shocks are in, level kit's in. I had to get a new bolt because the other one was like way rusty and too weak. So I used a new bolt for that. These bushings are in there, and it's pretty tight and snug. So I think that'll feel nice and smooth. And yep, that's all I got for this update. Tomorrow morning, I'm gonna go get the brake line, put it on. Hopefully that goes smoothly. Then I'm gonna paint the frame and get this wheel back on. I might work on the other side while I wait for the paint to dry, or the OSPO to dry. But other than that, I'm just gonna get that side completely done and the wheel back on before I tackle this side. This side, what I have to do is a little different. I don't have to do all the shock tower and stuff, but I have to put the level on, and I have to take that whole radius arm off and put that new one on. So I don't know how hard that'll be, but that's what we got going on. These lights out here are taking a minute to get warmed up. It'll be brighter in a minute, but I got the light. I got the new brake line on, so that side's done completely, except for frame, of course, but I'm not worried about that right now. I'll do that another time at this point. And there's a new arm. So what I ended up having to do is there's 2 bolts, one on top and one on the bottom, and I'll try to video in there. I don't know if you can see, but in there's 2 nuts, and I don't know if they're welded in there or if they're just really rusty and stuck in there, but there's 2 nuts in there, and I could not get them off just normally. But how I ended up doing this, we got this torch from the neighbor and heated them up really hot, and then they came out. And that one that I had grinded smooth, or I didn't show that yet, but I tried grinding that one smooth, and which ended up not working good for sake of using the torch. But how we ended up getting it was we used this extractor socket. It's, you can see that it's like the shape of a star in there, and it grabs onto something round. So even though it was round, I could still grab it with that, and I got it out. And then I'm trying to get this. So now I'm gonna put this arm on, get it all on with the bushings and everything, and then after that, just put the strut back in with the shocks, and I'll be done. Got it all back together. All that stuff up front is up back together. The bed is back on. 2 bolts. This freaking one slipped. The socket slipped in there and messed it up. And now I can't get it to go all the way in because the socket just slips off. So that's real annoying, but other than that, she's good to go.